Imagine, for a second, that you could double your creative output without actually working a single extra hour. No, this isn't some late-night infomercial pitch for a vibrating belt that promises six-pack abs while you eat crisps. I'm talking about the quiet revolution sitting right there on your desktop. We've moved past the AI as a toy phase, and we've firmly entered the AI as a collaborator era. But here's the rub. The market is absolutely flooded. Every week there's a new game changer that supposedly makes the last one look like a pocket calculator. If you're trying to actually get work done, writing an article, drafting a business proposal, or just trying to clear out a soul-crushing inbox, you don't need 50 tools, you need the right one. So today, we're going to strip away the hype. We're looking at the big three plus a fourth market disruptor: Google's Gemini, Anthropic's Claude, and the one that started the fire, OpenAI's ChatGPT, as well as Gab AI, the people's champion. We're going to look at what they actually feel like to use, where they stumble, and which one you should be reaching for when the cursor is blinking and your brain is empty. Thanks for watching AI Copywriting Tools. Please like the video and subscribe if you'd like to see more helpful AI software and marketing tutorials, deep dives and reviews. Let's start with the AI tool that is likely already sitting in your pocket or your browser tabs, Google's Gemini. Now, Gemini has had a bit of a turbulent journey, hasn't it? It started as Bard, went through a bit of an identity crisis, and has now emerged as this deeply integrated, highly ambitious ecosystem. If you're a heavy user of Google Workspace, we're talking Docs, Sheets, Gmail, Gemini isn't just a chatbot, it's more like a digital shadow that lives inside your workflow. Gemini's absolute superpower, the thing that sets it apart from almost everyone else, is its connection to the real world. Because it's plugged directly into Google Search, it is significantly better at handling current events or fact-checking than its rivals. Some AI models are still working off a training set that might be months or even years old. They have a knowledge cutoff. Gemini doesn't really have that in the same way. If I want to write a summary of the news from 20 minutes ago, or find out the current price of a specific stock while I'm drafting a financial report, Gemini is the one I trust to give me an accurate, up-to-the-minute answer without hallucinating a fake reality. It also boasts an incredible context window. In the 1.5 Pro version, you can feed it massive amounts of data, entire books, long video files, or thousands of lines of code, and it can read them all at once to find patterns. For a writer, this is brilliant for research. You can upload 5 different PDF sources about the history of the Industrial Revolution and ask it to find the contradictions between them. It's fast, too, almost jarringly fast. However, there are weaknesses. Gemini can feel a bit corporate. Because it's a Google product, it's heavily filtered, and sometimes its creative writing can feel a bit like a summarized Wikipedia entry. It lacks a bit of that spark or edge you might want if you're writing with a strong voice and opinion. It's also prone to what I call the search engine bias, where it prioritizes being informative over being stylistically interesting. It's a researcher, not an artist. If you need the facts, and you need them now, Gemini is your man. But if you're looking for soul, well, that brings us to our next contender. Let's pivot to my personal favorite for actual get-down-in-the-trenches writing, Claude. Specifically, Claude 3.5 Sonnet, which is currently the darling of the AI writing community. If Gemini is the researcher, Claude is the poet. Anthropic, the company behind Claude, was founded by former OpenAI researchers who wanted to focus heavily on AI safety and constitutional AI, but in doing so, they accidentally created the most human-sounding model on the market. The strength here is the nuance. Claude has a much better grasp of subtext, irony, and emotional resonance than almost any other model I've tested. If you ask Claude to write a scene where 2 characters are having a tense dinner, it doesn't just describe the food and the dialogue, it picks up on the things not being said. It understands the weight of silence. It avoids those robotic clichés, the in conclusion, the it is important to note, that plague other models. For a writer, Claude feels like a genuine collaborator. You can have a back-and-forth conversation about the themes of your work, and it will offer suggestions that actually feel insightful rather than just probable. It also has a massive context window, similar to Gemini, making it excellent for editing long-form work. You can give it a 50,000-word draft and say, Where does the pacing lag in the second act? And it will give you a remarkably coherent answer. But, and there is always a but, Claude has its frustrations. The free tier is quite restrictive. You'll be mid-flow, feeling like you're finally cracking that difficult chapter, and then, clunk, you've hit your message limit for the next few hours. It's heartbreaking. Also, Claude can be a bit preachy. Because of its heavy safety training, it can sometimes refuse a prompt that's perfectly innocent just because it misinterpreted a word as being slightly edgy or sensitive. It's like working with a brilliant editor who is also incredibly easily offended. The best use case for Claude? It's for the pros. Use it for content and copywriting, for editing work you've already done to give it more heart, or for deep analysis of complex text where you need to understand the why as much as the what. Now, speaking of that preachiness we see in Claude, there's a player I have to mention that sits in a very different corner of the ring. Gab AI. If the other tools are like polite, buttoned-up university lecturers, Gab AI is the guy at the pub who insists on saying exactly what's on his mind, for better or worse. The core philosophy here is unfiltered AI. While Google and Anthropic spend millions of dollars building guardrails and safety filters, which as we discussed can sometimes feel like a straitjacket for writers, Gab AI intentionally leaves those off. They use open-source models like Llama as a base and fine-tune them to be uncensored. For a writer, this can be incredibly liberating. If you're writing an article that challenges accepted norms or consensus, Gab may be a lot less frustrating to work with. Gab AI will go there with you. It doesn't nag, it doesn't moralize, and it doesn't refuse to answer based on policy. The strength is obvious: creative freedom. It's also remarkably privacy-focused, which is a rare find in this space. They claim to not track your data for training, which is a massive plus if you're working on sensitive intellectual property. The weakness, however, is that it lacks the polish of the big three. Because it doesn't have the same level of fine-tuning for helpfulness, it can sometimes meander or give answers that feel a bit raw and unedited. It's also less intelligent in a general sense. It doesn't have the same world-class reasoning capabilities as something like Claude 3.5. You're trading IQ for freedom. The use case? It's your no BS collaborator. Use Gab AI when you're writing fiction that requires an edge, when you're tackling controversial topics that standard AI won't touch, or when you just want to see what an AI says when it's not trying to please a corporate board. Finally, we have the titan in the room, ChatGPT. It's become the generic trademark for AI, hasn't it? Like calling a vacuum a Hoover or a tissue a Kleenex. And there's a good reason for that. ChatGPT is the Swiss Army knife of the bunch. It's the one that started the fire, and OpenAI continues to push the boundaries of what these machines can actually do beyond just text. When we talk about strengths, ChatGPT's greatest asset is its sheer versatility and its massive ecosystem. If you're using the free version, you're likely tapping into GPT 4.0 now, which is a brilliant multimodal beast. It can see, it can hear, and it can speak. For a writer, this means you can take a photo of your messy, handwritten notes, and it will transcribe them perfectly. You can voice memo your ideas while you're walking the dog, and it will turn them into a structured outline by the time you get home. ChatGPT is also arguably the best at structured logic and technical tasks. If I tell it, write me a 3-act play about a sentient toaster, but make it in the style of Samuel Beckett, and ensure every second line starts with the letter B, it'll have a damn good go at it. It's brilliant at following complex, multi-step instructions without getting confused. If you need to turn a messy pile of interview notes into a clean table or a formatted markdown list, ChatGPT handles that with a level of precision that still feels a bit like magic. But, for all its power, it has its quirks. For a writer, the primary weakness is what I call the GPT smirk. It has a very distinct, slightly overly enthusiastic and highly sycophantic tone. It loves certain words. If you see the word delve, tapestry, leverage, or testament in a piece of writing, there's a 90% chance ChatGPT wrote it. If you aren't careful, your writing starts to sound like a high-end real estate brochure written by a very eager intern. It can also feel a bit sanitized. It's so worried about being helpful and safe that it sometimes rounds off the sharp edges of a story or an argument that actually needs them. It's the uncanny valley of writing. It looks like human writing, but if you stare at it too long, you realize the eyes aren't quite moving. The best use case for ChatGPT? It's your architect. Use it to build the bones. Use it for brainstorming, for outlining, for technical explanations, or for when you need to transform one type of data into another. It's the tool you use when you need to get from 0 to 60 in terms of structure and logic. So, where does that leave us? How do you actually choose? If you want a reliable all-rounder that can handle voice, images, and complex logic, go for ChatGPT. It's the most capable tool for general productivity. If you want to write something that actually moves people, something with style and nuance, or you need to process a mountain of text with a human touch, go for Claude. And if you need to be tethered to the real world, using the latest facts and deep Google integration to power your research, Gemini is your man. Look, the reality is that the best assistant is the one you actually use. We are living in a truly bizarre and wonderful time where the barrier between having a great idea and executing it has never been thinner. You effectively have the power of 1,000 researchers and writers sitting in your pocket for the grand total of £0. That is a level of leverage that was unthinkable even 5 years ago. Don't just watch this video and go back to scrolling through your feed. I want you to pick one of these tools today, doesn't matter which one, and start that project you've been putting off. Write an article and don't stop until it's published. Draft that business plan for your new side hustle. Send that difficult email you've been dreading. This technology is life-changing, but only if you actually engage with it. It's a bicycle for the mind, as Steve Jobs used to say, but you still have to pedal. If you found this deep dive helpful, do me a massive favor and hit that like button. It really helps the algorithm find people who might actually need this information. And if you want to stay ahead of the curve in this weird, rapidly shifting AI world, subscribe to AI copywriting tools and join the conversation in the comments. I genuinely want to know, which one of the big three are you using, and what's the one thing it does that still blows your mind? Right, that's me done for today. Go out there and create something brilliant. See you in the next one.